Good morning. I'm meteorologist Kevin Smith here at the National Weather Service office in Pocatello with another edition of your Eastern Idaho planning briefing for Wednesday, June 17th. Weather the next few days and really over the next week really falls into two different regimes here. So regime number one is really going to focus on today: cold, wet, snowy conditions for some and breezy conditions with a lake wind advisory for American Falls Reservoir. It's going to be noticeably unsummer-like today. And we're going to have a little bit of a transition between these two regimes. It'll take a little bit of time to get this low-pressure storm system out of our area. But eventually, we're going to move into a warmer and drier trending regime. It'll kick off on Thursday and really strengthen as we go into the weekend and early next week. Eventually, some 80s returning to the forecast, possibly even close to 90 as we get into next week. Confidence in the overall picture here pretty high on the forecast end. Some differences in the details with some of the models in terms of, for example, just how warm will we get next week depend on a few factors, but overall our confidence is pretty good in this scenario playing out here over the next 7 days. Taking a look at the current satellite view this morning, really this is the player, this low pressure system that is now parked right over the state of Idaho. Can see two features wrapping around it. First, a zone of rainfall and even a little bit of snow showing up really well here in the water vapor loop down across the southeastern portion of our forecast area and then up toward Driggs. And then on the back side of this low pressure system, you can see another area of water vapor or precipitation expanding southward across the central Idaho mountains. And that's really a focus today for some heavier precipitation and some snowfall at higher elevations. Off to the west on our doorstep, though, a little bit of high pressure is going to start building in. So as we get this low pressure storm system out of here, moving to the northeast into Canada over the next day or two, we're going to transition to more control from this high pressure system across the region that'll push us into that second regime with warmer and drier weather moving forward. So, a lot of stuff falling out of the sky this morning. It's rain for most of you, but early morning webcams here, as you can see, showing snow for some locations. First image is Lost Trail Pass up along US 93 north of Salmon. It's about a 7,000-foot elevation, and that's kind of going to be key today. There's going to be quite the gradient between rain at lower elevations and some higher elevation snowfall. I think most of our accumulations are going to stay above 7,000 feet. You can see here, though, in the second image, we did see some snow make it down into the Clayton area along Idaho 75 west of Chalice, about 5,700 feet there, and we actually saw some heavy wet snow, about 2 inches of it falling in about a 1-hour period just before midnight during the overnight hours. So this is going to be the story as we go into the morning today. Weather impact overview here on the matrix, again, front-loaded with all the impacts, and really highlighted these as kind of on the minimal side. Yes, we're expecting some snow, but no, it's not really going to fall down into highly populated areas. A lot of this is going to stay up really high. Breezy conditions today, too. I'll show you that in a moment for the Snake Plain, Eastern Magic Valley into the South Hills, and we do have a lake wind advisory to talk about. Otherwise, a few hit-and-miss showers and thunderstorms expected over the course of the day today, and you can see Thursday and Friday taking a little bit of time to clear that instability out, clear some of that precipitation out of the area. Again, as we transition to that warmer and drier pattern, the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, looking pretty dry and pretty beautiful across southeast Idaho with no impacts expected. Also watch for a little bit of patchy frost at lower elevations on Thursday morning, cloud cover dependent. So let's time all this out. Take a look at one of our computer models here and look at the general trends for the day. Kicking off at 5 a.m. this morning, you can see that widespread rain and snow falling across the Central Mountain region. Also, there's a little bit of a band of rain, a little bit of snow going on here down across the southern and eastern highlands, starting to move into the state of Wyoming, so that'll be really winding down here over the next few hours. But as we go through the course of the morning here, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9, even to 10 a.m. You can see still quite a bit of precipitation falling across the Central Mountains with a few hit-and-miss showers across the rest of the region. And then as we advance into this afternoon, still by 2 p.m., that more widespread organized precipitation across the Central Mountains extending up near the Montana border. A few showers, a few isolated thunderstorms also possible this afternoon, although not expecting severe weather. And then as we go through the course of the afternoon hours, everything gradually settles down and shrinks off to the south and east. So many of you will be a lot drier by the time we get to shortly after sunset this evening. How much are we going to see out of this? So we've seen quite a bit of precipitation overnight. What you're seeing on the screen here are additional precipitation amounts and snowfall amounts that we're expecting over the course of the day today. And you can see that really focuses, again, Central Mountains, Lemhi County area for another 1/4 to 1/2 inch for some of you. A few higher amounts at the higher elevations. A lot lighter amounts down at lower elevations here, the Snake Plain and Eastern Magic Valley. Also another 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch for portions of the Eastern Highlands heading over here toward the Wyoming border. Additional snowfall on top of what has already fallen, again on the order of generally 2 to 6 inches. Most of this holding above 7,000 feet in elevation, a little bit of it mixing down as low as about 5,500 to 6,000 feet, although we're not expecting much in the way of accumulation that low. Really not expecting snowfall impacts across the rest of southeast Idaho. So for this reason, we do continue winter weather advisories here across portions of the north. Impacts even higher as you go northward into portions of Montana and Lemhi County. Slightly higher snowfall amounts. Also concerns about the weight of that heavy wet snow weighing down some tree limbs and some power lines up that way. You can see our lake wind advisory here in effect as well for American Falls Reservoir. So let's take a look at those winds. Generally a west to southwest flow expected today on the order of about 15 to 25 miles per hour sustained. We're already seeing those winds develop as of this recording. So as you wake up this morning, it's going to be noticeably breezy. We're expecting those strongest winds this morning and then slowly starting to decrease and taper off as we go through the afternoon hours. Some gusts over 35 miles per hour will be possible. So for that reason, lake wind advisory in effect through 6 p.m. for American Falls Reservoir. Again, greatest winds and resultant hazards on the reservoir will be this morning with those stronger winds. May still need to watch out for an isolated thunderstorm as well this afternoon, even as those winds begin to taper off. So really the period to consider avoiding as far as marine recreation goes is going to be this morning. And again, I think we'll see improving conditions as we go toward the late afternoon hours. High temperatures today, again, we're in that cold regime, only topping out in the upper 40s to upper 50s across southeast Idaho this afternoon. Tomorrow morning, dependent on cloud cover, might see a little bit of patchy frost. You can see most locations here in our main agricultural corridor of the Snake Plain holding in the upper 30s. I think the best chance for some of that patchy frost outside the mountains, at least, will be here in the upper Snake Plain heading over toward the Teton Valley. And again, this is going to depend on how much cloud cover is in place. If we see a lot of clearing, we'll see better radiational cooling. We'll see temperatures inch lower, but cloud cover in place will act as a blanket and tend to mitigate this risk for tomorrow morning. High temperatures on Thursday, upper 50s to upper 60s, near 70 for the Eastern Magic Valley. So a day of transition as we start to warm just a little bit. Most areas drying out, but we may still see a few showers and thunderstorms across our mountain ranges, particularly from the Central Mountains up into the Upper Snake Highlands and Island Park region, and possibly along the Wyoming border as well, drier at lower elevations. Friday, we continue to add a little bit of temperature into the forecast here. Again, that warming and drying trend continues. Isolated shower in a few of the mountain areas. And by this weekend, here we go. From the weekend into early next week, much stronger warming and drying pattern as a ridge of high pressure starts to build in and take control. Not expecting any impactful weather at this point. Again, mostly dry. And you can see temperatures here returning into the 70s to 80s across large portions of southeast Idaho, and probably will inch a little bit higher than this as we go into early next week as well. So that's the tale of two regimes. Again, main impacts continuing today as far as precipitation, breezy conditions, high elevation snow, and then finally breaking away from this low pressure system, warming and drying trend setting in Thursday, really kicking into high gear as we go into the weekend and beyond. That's it for your hazard briefing this morning. As always, please feel free to reach out with questions, comments, concerns. Remember, weather.gov/Pocatello, our website where you can get a specific forecast for your location any time of day. Everybody stay safe out there and have a great Wednesday.